Hello and welcome back to Toy Thursday with Johnny Tiger on Thursday. Yeah, I already said that, didn't I? September 29, 2022, and Kitten is hiding behind the camera.
Hello.
In front of the camera, you're looking at a sword. It's a very big sword with spikes coming out of the guard, and double-edged, look really serious. Now, obviously, I'm not going to do an entire episode just on the sword, but this is the sword of our figure of the day, and the impressive enough weapon to deserve to have a spot on its own. And this is not just any ordinary sword. This is the sword of justice. You see, we'll be looking at an angel today, not just any angel. This is going to be the archangel of justice, because today just happened to be, let me see if I can say this right, Michaelmas Day. Yeah, I know some of you are like, what the hell is Michaelmas Day? I heard of Christmas, never heard of a Michaelmas. Well, apparently for Catholic belief and Christian church, uh, it is a big thing. On September 29 is when you celebrate the feast of the archangels, and this is the day where in the UK people would kill a goose, and so they don't cook turkey on this day. They cook goose and make blackberry pie. Yeah, okay, that sounds kind of interesting. Um, and you go to church and you celebrate the archangels, primarily the three archangels, Gabriel, Michael, and Raphael. Those three were the only three archangels that were named during in the scripture. Of course, there were more than those three, but those three were the only one that we ever heard of. Especially Michael. Michael is like the left hand of God or something, like supposedly the most powerful of the archangels. Now, I imagine Gabriel and Raphael and Michael, they're all busy at the feast, eating their fill and stuff like that. So we can't get them on Toy Thursday. But I do have here with me an archangel that is basically their colleague, and he's going to stand in for them. No, I'm not going to be showing the Archangel character from Marvel comic because that would be kind of lame because he is not really an angel. He's just a guy who has wings and his code name is Archangel, and yeah, so he's not like a real angel. He doesn't have any angelic power or anything like that. Uh, but the guy I'm going to show you guys today, actual angel, actual archangel, like no fooling, down to earth, real deal archangel. At least in his storyline, he come to us from the Diablo video game. His name is the Archangel Tyrael, the Angel of Justice. Getting a back view of this very impressive angelic warrior with his wings and armor and his hood obscuring his head. This action figure was made by NECA for the Heroes of the Storm line. I believe was around 2017, although don't quote me on that. It was around that time. Sadly, Heroes of the Storm did not uh, progress beyond the third wave of action figures, even though there were a lot of other good characters that should have gotten made, but for some reason the line got cancelled. Uh, Now, Tyrael, the Archangel, came to us in Series 1 of Heroes of the Storm. He originally actually came from the video game Diablo and was basically your guardian angel for your main character in Season 2 and Season 3. Now, I've never actually played Diablo, uh, but I have always enjoyed the Diablo storyline with heroes and monsters and swords and demons and angels and all that stuff. It's a little bit serious and dark kind of fantasy, but very enjoyable if you like a good old-fashioned swords and sorcery and good versus evil kind of uh, storytelling. So I'm going to attempt to tell you guys what I know of Tyrael the Archangel, which admittedly is not much. But hey, he's an archangel. I don't need a lot of storyline to make me want to get an action figure of an archangel. So the story goes that Tyro, the archangel, was the judge, the jury, and the executioner. He was the angel of justice. He was among some of the first that fought in that great conflict up in heaven. He fought side by side with Michael and Gabriel and all the other archangels, defending paradise against the forces of Satan and Diablo and all the other lords of hell. As an archangel, Tyro was known to be the most strict, the most serious, the most inhumane, the most cool and collected and calm and serene of all the archangels. Uh, he was the embodiment of justice, no nonsense, punishment, and retribution, and all that stuff. He had so much power that he could single-handedly go up against some of the most powerful demon lords during the great conflict. Now, he obviously was not powerful enough to go up against guys like Diablo or Satan, uh, but against your other, like the Lord of Sin, the Lord of avarice, and Lord of Terror, those guys, he no problem. He could go one on one with those guys. So yeah, uh, all that is to say, Tyro, even though he's not as famous as Michael and Gabriel and Raphael, he's no joke. He's a seriously powerful archangel in his own right. And like I said, for most of the earlier time, Tyro was that angel that was the most inhumane, the most direct and brutal and cold and ruthless. But one time, when he witnessed how human beings were willing to sacrifice themselves to protect each other, how a human hero would sacrifice himself to save the world, it changed Tyro forever. From that day on, Tyro sort of became obsessed with human. He wanted to learn why would human put themselves in harm's way to protect others. He wanted to learn why would human cry, why would human love, why would human go to war, why would human make peace. He wanted to be human. He wanted to experience love and joy, and beyond all that, he wanted to experience what it's like to have dreams and goals and fantasies. So eventually, he threw away his archangel power, voluntarily become a human, just so he could experience all that. And that was basically the storyline of Diablo 3, I believe, where as a hero of the story, you meet this guy who used to be Tyro the Archangel, and the world is in great peril because uh, the demon lord Diablo is invading the world and stuff like that. And you, as a hero, have to go and find Tyro's sword because only by getting his sword in his hand would he become an angel again and get his memory back. Otherwise, he's just this ordinary human who doesn't even remember he once upon a time was an archangel. So yeah, that's basically its a deal with Tyro the Archangel. Um, like I said, not much to say about this guy other than he's very very powerful when he's got all his faculties together, uh, but he because he has this obsession with human and want to know what it's like to be a human, so he threw all that power away to be among us. Yeah, there's some very beautiful dynamic in the storyline there. But obviously, NECA can't just make Tyrael the human. That would really piss off a lot of the fans because most of the fans we don't care about Tyrael the human. When he's human, he's just like ordinary human. He doesn't look that interesting. Most of the fans wanted Tyrael the archangel, the most powerful judge from heaven, the angel of justice himself, on our bookshelf, on our displays. So that's the version we got from NECA back in around 2016, 2017. And he does not disappoint. Now, some people may say he looks a little bit small. Yeah, he's about 7 inches tall, maybe not even that, maybe like 6 and 3/4 of an inch tall. But he cuts a very impressive profile with his gold and white and blue armor. Uh, so he's wearing a lot of armor. I mean, we look at this guy and he looks like a tank. It's crazy. You have to be an angel to be able to move under all that armor. On his head, there's this black hood, and if you look inside his hood, there's actually no face in there. So he's like a faceless angel because I think there was something about uh, no mortal could look upon the face of an angel without unpleasant consequences or stuff like that. So he's so powerful that you can't see his face, and that is the way this action figure is made. Like there's no face under that hood. And from the neck down, he's got this seriously heavy plated armor uh, going on, like covers his entire body. And under the armor, there's this nicely textured, I don't know what you call that, like a robe or a tunic that covered the body under all that armor. And at the risk of him looking kind of ridiculous, yeah, he does in that pose. We'll talk about that in a little bit. Um, when you raise up his arm and move aside that gigantic shoulder armor, you will see that he has some nicely textured chain armor under all those plate armor. So he's like got double layers and more layers on top of that. It's like this guy take his protection really seriously. And the armor and the chain underneath and the tunic underneath, everything is nicely textured. Now, earlier I mentioned that you would have to be an angel to be able to move under all that armor. You need to have angelic power for that. That would have been true. Unfortunately, our poor archangel here is cursed by something a lot worse. And this curse, its name, I'm sorry guys, for those of you who are NECA fans, this curse's name is NECA, the toy maker. Now, while now, in 2022, most of you would know that most of you would know that NECA nowadays makes some of the best freaking action figure out there, and they do. Like, I I I can show you a lot of examples of the kind of action figure NECA make today, and you go, wow, they're detailed, they're big, they come with a lot of accessories, and they have a lot of joints. They can move in all kinds of ways. It's great. I mean, the only problem, okay, the only problem I have with NECA action figures right now is they're freaking expensive. Like they totally gone into that more premium toy category, while the other action figures we get a lot of them are like 29, $30, $35. Heck, Todd McFarlane's making big and detailed action figures and selling them for $19. NECA is out there selling action figures at $65. Like, yeah, okay. But anyway, hey, if you buy it. I would say it's worth it. You know, they're very well made. But that's NECA action figures today. Poor Tyrael was made, like I said, around 2016, 2017, when NECA seemed to had gone through this rough patch where they either didn't know how joints work or they didn't know how to make joints work without them breaking. Like seriously, if you collected action figures in the 2015 and earlier, 2016 and earlier, you know what I'm talking about. NECA action figure, you don't want to move their joints because there's a 50-50 chance things are going to break. They were like Todd McFarlane in the 90s. Okay, Todd McFarlane had exactly the same problem in the 90s. So many times I took a Todd McFarlane action figure out of the package, brand new. I just got it home from the store. I opened the package and son of a bitch, the head fell off. Yeah, yeah. A, a lot of you guys that came from the 90s, you know what I'm talking about. NECA action figures in around 2016, they were the same. Okay. Now, so far, Tyro, nothing's broken yet. Okay, knock on wood. I'm not in that. That's why I'm not trying to get him into some crazy martial art poses. Uh, but he can hardly move. Like, even though he's an archangel, all this bulky armor still, in this case, limits his movement. He can't even bend his arm 90 degrees. He can't even lift his arm up above his head without that big, gigantic shoulder armor starting to look weird. He can't even really turn his head because of the hood. He can't bend over. He can't kick. He can't even lift his arm really out to the side. Like, the joints are there, but they don't work because of the design problem. Okay, because of all this bulky armor. So he's going to look damn cool standing in the background on your display, like that guardian angel defending your heroes way back on the display. Uh, put him back in the shadows and just put his sword in his hand. He'll be fine. He'll look awesome. But don't expect him to actually fight anybody. He'll look weird because he can't get into any real poses, right? So he can stand there holding his sword, looking menacing, but that's about it. Speaking of his sword, let's bring the sword of justice back into the frame and put it in his hand to complete the look. And here he is with the sword in his hand. Yeah, I managed to get it in his hand without breaking him. Great. Yay. Uh, but as you can see, he looked pretty good. Sword in his hand, but he can't really do anything with it. The sword is like he can hold it down against his body like that, like he's just waiting for someone to piss him off. Or you can kind of stand him sideways and he can point the sword up like that, like he's getting ready to go in the fencing match. Yeah, not perfect, but it works kind of, as long as you don't consider the armor getting pushed out of the way, and when he raises his arm, you really realize how ridiculous those giant shoulder pads are. Like, how can you fight? How can you fight wearing that? Like, you wouldn't even be able to turn your head without your shoulder pad bonking you on the nose. That's why you need to be an angel. I mean, there's got to be a way to do this if you're an angel. Anyway, I'm not going to poke too much fun. He's an archangel after all, and he looked pretty cool. Um, and his story was pretty cool. An angel who wanted to become a human to know what it's like being a human and all that stuff. That's pretty cool. Um, so yeah, in a nutshell, Tyrael, the Archangel, was a really cool character. He's an Archangel. He's a very powerful character. The action figure, unfortunately, really can use some improvement. especially around the design of the articulation. As far as how it looks great. I mean, the whole blue and white and gold color scheme. I mean, even though I can't see it myself, it sounds pretty cool. It sound like it's a very fancy uh, combination of colors. And his sword is gigantic. His armor is gigantic. Uh, oh yeah. Now, let me quickly mention another problem that um, a lot of collectors complained about the action figure of Tyrael. If NECA didn't give us his actual wings, like, come on, you're making an archangel. You need to give him wings. I mean, he does sort of have wings on his back, but they are too small. In the story, in the way he's depicted in the video game, the wings would be a lot bigger. Like he would have these majestic uh, blade looking the wings that look kind of like blades or tendrils that come out of his back. Now that's the kind of wings we wanted as collectors, not these tiny little stubs that like the wings were chopped off or something. So yeah, I don't know if the idea was to cut the cost to keep the price low or what's the deal, but they made an archangel without his actual wings. That's really really silly. The kind of thing that shouldn't even happen. But yeah, other than that, if you can overlook the lack of wings, and I mean, I've been doing this collecting things for a long time. I'm very good at denial. I'm very good at making up my own stories, right? So I can give you an idea of how to look at this. He's an archangel, okay? So which means he can transform any part of his body however he like. Maybe he feels when he's just standing there, he doesn't need those giant wings. Maybe he feels that while he's just standing there, uh, raining judgment down on the world, he can just retract those wings or make them go invisible or something. Okay, you can think of it that way. You can think of the wings are actually there, yeah, they're just invisible because he's an archangel. He can do anything he wants. Yeah, there, make you feel better all of a sudden. I hope that this has been enjoyable. I know Kitten's been laughing, so I know she enjoyed it. Um, and we'll try to bring you guys some Fitness Friday tomorrow.
Yay!
For now, have a good night.
Good night.